I did about 95% of the arrangements from memory. The only time I referenced the record, and it did, I should just start off by saying I didn't really start doing or working on the arrangements thinking that I was going to remake the entire Sergeant Pepper record. We'd been doing Strawberry Fields as part of our show. I just did a little medley of the Sergeant Pepper song into Strawberry Fields, and it was just really going really well every night. People really connected with it, and it was a promoter in Italy that said, well, suggested, why don't you do a whole set of Beatles next time you come back? And I just my immediate reaction was like, there's no way I can pull that off. I need to, it would be impossible to keep that interesting. This was my initial thought, but it kind of got my wheels turning. Like, well, what if I did, other Beatles songs? And so I started working on "In My Life," or I picked various songs, but then I just started selecting a few songs that kind of just happened to be on Sergeant Pepper, and then it dawned on me, what if I could play the whole record? And it was really more for my own amusement than anything else. I was just because I was already playing in that style from the Resolution record, because I did that whole record without any overdubs. I basically incorporated melody and chords, and however I wanted to flesh it out, there was just one guitar performance, bass and drums. So I was kind of in that mode. So I was doing the arrangements with that in mind, like, oh, how could I come up with this? But yeah, I never referenced the record. I'm enough of a Beatle geek that I've heard it plenty of times, and my musical memory is fairly good. And so, yeah, no, and that kind of made it easier, because had I gone back to reference, it might have been a more daunting task, because I'd be more tempted to accurately transcribe. Whereas if you're only able to play one guitar at a time, one performance, so to speak, and that has to stand, then you're incorporating a chord occasionally. Here's the melody, or whatever kind of sticks out in your mind as the song's playing through your memory. Maybe I don't hear all the parts at once, but okay, there's an orchestration, there's a sound effect. Oh, there's that weird guitar warbly sound. I better turn a chorus box on for that. Or for the vocal harmonies, sometimes I would add chorusing, to give it the double tracked, vocal harmony sound. But yeah, no, it's completely true that I did the whole thing. The only thing that I had to reference was I never fully understood when I was a kid growing up the middle section of Within You Without You, because it goes into an odd time signature. And I really never felt what it was, because I'm not that proficient with odd time signatures, which is an odd thing to say for a guitar player that works quite a bit with Simon Phillips, 11, 15, or 16, or whatever it is. So I had to go back for that. When we originally tracked Within You Without You, I actually, because we're incorporating the Tomorrow Never Knows drums, taking a cue from the Beatles' Love Cirque du Soleil soundtrack, where they did the mashup of Tomorrow Never Knows groove with the Within You Without You vocal. So my idea for the middle section, since I didn't think I could pull it off and I didn't remember it clearly, I would just do kind of a freak out Octavia psychedelic solo over that same drum groove. But when I heard the playback, I went, what a cop out. I think everybody's really going to miss that orchestrated section. So I went back and put the record on, and then I had to figure that out. That took a long time for me to be able to play that properly. It didn't seem like that big a handful when you hear what I did, but at the same time, really trying to capture the essence. And so that one's true. That particular rumor. That's the beauty of music, and that's the beauty of being a guitarist and a fan of tone. You're never really there. I think that I'm just finally at a point where I'm willing to work on it, and it's kind of an interesting thing to say, because looking back on my formative years, and even through some of my early solo records, of course I wanted a great tone, and I was happy when I had a good tone, but I was really a lot more concerned with performance and the playing aspect of it. I almost didn't want to know. I wanted to set up my amp, get something that I could comfortably play on, and just let the engineer take care of it. But around the time that we did That Was Then, This Is Now, which was the first Favor Nations release, where we recorded 4 new songs tacked on to the best of Your Ecstasy 1 and 2, I was definitely getting a lot more inspired to spend longer times working on tone. And then when we did the Resolution CD, Mike Dane, my bassist for 20 years, ended up engineering those guitar tracks. And it's the first time he and I had worked together in that capacity, as far as him kind of co-producing and recording guitars with me. So we basically, once I decided how I wanted to approach it, which was, no overdubs, one guitar. That's what kind of got me inspired to even do another guitar instrumental record. We did the basic tracks, and I was kind of playing rhythm guitars, and I was gonna, let's double, triple track that melody, and it just sounded so bland and uninspired that the tracks literally sat there for a year until I decided, hey, wait a minute. It was actually something Steve Vai had said to me, where when we handed in the extra 4 tracks for That Was Then, This Is Now, there was a particular a couple of sections and maybe one whole song called Falling Down, where it was just one guitar, bass, and drums. And he commented to me, he said, that's the stuff I really like, when it's just you, one guitar, bass, and drums. I really love that. I can hear the fingers on the frets. I really hear more of you there, And it was me kind of remembering that, like hearing a compliment from your older brother or something. And I thought, well, what if I could do a whole record like that? Then I wonder if Steve would dig that. It was that encouragement from him, and that little nugget of a comment that I took to heart, and that's why I did Resolution the way I did, and that's what kind of got me inspired to do that record and finish it. So in that being decided, it's like, okay, if we've only got one guitar performance, that tone better be awesome, because you can get away with a pretty good tone if you're stacking things and layering. And it's funny, we're talking about Steve Lukather, because I remember him saying that in an interview a dozen or more years ago, maybe 15 years ago, saying, yeah, you don't have to layer bunches of guitar tracks if your one sound is really great, so that was it. We spent a lot of time. If it took 2 weeks to get the right tone, or it took 2 weeks for me to figure out how to keep the guitar in tune to play certain passages, because that's the other part of it. One guitar sound, you can kind of get away with tuning in discrepancies if you're double tracking it, because it's beautiful chorus at that point, right? So I learned a lot about in getting better tone and tuning the guitar, oddly enough, at this point in my life, back in whenever we did that record between 2004 and 2006 when it came out. Stuff that Eric Johnson figured out 20 years ago that I'm just getting around to experimenting with, and it's fun, man. It's such a part of the process. But no matter what level your playing gets to, or what your tone, the quality that you're reaching for, it's just, you're never there. But if you ever thought, well, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard, and that's the greatest tone, and I played really awesome, then you might just stop, right? If you ever feel like you actually got there, you're like, what do I do now?